Hello and welcome to the very first official episode of PCPFC, Phoenix Cinema Podcast Film Club. We kind of had a test run when we did Never Say Never Again, but now this is the official first episode. The film, A View to a Kill. Yes, the 1985 Bond movie, the very last Roger Moore Bond movie, A View to a Kill. Let's do what we usually do. So joining me on the call today is my co-host, Luke Parker. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
Good to see you. And our favourite recurring guest, is Ralph D. Apel. Ralph, how you doing, sir?
I told my wife, I'm like, I'm recording with those guys on Saturday. She said, wow, they really like you. I said, I guess so. It's so funny. Because here's the thing, we brought this up on the previous episode. Like, I do a lot of podcasts about a lot of things I like, and I've never touched the Bond franchise. Like, it's not something that I want to do a podcast about. So, like, this scratches an itch.
Mm-hmm. Good. I'm glad.
Yeah. And Ralph, you're like an encyclopedia of James Bond knowledge, so you're like the perfect guest for us to have on.
Yeah, well, I mean, before we popped on, you're like, should we talk about cinematographer? And I'm like, oh, I don't know who that is. So I'm not like a complete encyclopedia,
sure.
But like, I know all the majors. And then I think we just, as I said, like, the cinematography, there's nothing much to talk about. Nothing against
nothing too special
but
going on.
It's a very 80s looking movie.
Exactly. It's kind of just like a bleached out kind of look. Yeah.
But I will say the most recent time I watched this, because I didn't watch this recently. I watched this maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. I've seen it countless times. The last time I watched it, I noticed that the second unit stuff, the cinematography is like, and the shots and the action is all shot really, really well.
Nice. Yeah.
Because this is one of those Bond movies where I'm like, it's bottom third easily for me.
Wow.
It may even be the bottom. It might even be like the bottom 5 for me. And it's probably my least favorite Roger Moore. But so every time I watch it, because I'm going to watch it regardless because it's a Bond movie. Yeah. And the worst Bond movie like exceeds any other like fandom franchise, you know.
Nice. Okay.
This is going to be interesting then, because I've mentioned to Chris just before you joined, Ralph, that I went in with low expectations on this, and this has ended up being probably my favorite Roger Moore Bond film.
What?
Great.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. So every time I watch it, I'm like, I find something I like about it that I probably hadn't appreciated before. Because again, I tend to watch these in order on a loop. That's just kind of what happens. When I finish Octopussy, I jump right into this next, and then next I'll watch Living Daylights. But what I love about the Bond franchise, and I'll say this to anybody who comes up to me and says, "Oh, I love this movie," "Oh, I hate this movie," and I'm like, well, that's my favorite one, or that's my least favorite one. The thing is with the Bond movies, there's so many of them. There's 25, and they're all so different. Like, there's a Bond movie for everybody. I guarantee you for every single person on the planet, they will gravitate towards at least one James Bond movie.
Yeah.
But it depends. Everybody has different tastes. So I have friends who are massive View to a Kill fans. And it's the one they grew up with. It's the first one they saw. The first Bond movie I saw was Living Daylights, and that's like my number 3. You guys might hate it. You guys might be like, oh, this John Glenn dipping his toes into like Ian Fleming more serious territory, which I guess he did with For Eyes Only.
Yeah.
But there's the thing is, like, if I'm just going to throw on a Bond movie, like, it's like, what kind of a mood am I in?
Yeah,
right. Do I really want something? Do I really want dumb fun, or do I really want to like sit down and like enjoy like a really good thriller?
That's valid.
The variety. I love the variety. So anytime anybody says something great about a Bond movie I don't like, or vice versa, I'm like, that's totally valid. I think with Bond fans, when it comes to people's like top 10 or bottom 10 or whatever, I think Bond fans are like, yeah, I get it. I get it. Like Thunderball's like long and boring. It's like 2.5 hours long, and it's like 80% underwater, and it moves at a snail's pace. And John Barry's score, which I love John Barry, kind of drag things on a bit.
I agree.
But some people love Thunderball. And so it's one of those things where it's like, it's not like the Bond franchise doesn't live in a world where you're not allowed to enjoy James Gunn's next movie because you are a fan of Zack Snyder. Like, it's not that.
Yes.
With Bond, it's like, hey, Bond fans are just happy for people to just watch a Bond movie.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like the audience is dwindling to the point where this week they announced the Hitman style James Bond video game for,
I
for
sent this
millennials
to Chris.
and stuff.
Luke literally shared the trailer with me. And what'd you say?
I said, look at this trailer, Chris. Why does this game look like everything I want from the next James Bond movie and more?
Yeah.
It looks so good.
It looks good.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, this somehow this franchise has gone 60 plus years. So there's a way to get new fans.
Yeah, there's a winning formula there. Yeah.
And like even though all these films are hitting like the same beats, like the style and the substance is so variable throughout the series, and I think it's kind of obvious that none of them are truly amazing films, or at least the amazing ones are like quite far and few between.
Yeah.
But they're still really enjoyable, and there's still something like that each person's going to resonate with differently.
So consensus on the entire planet is that Skyfall is amazing.
I
think
agree
it's good.
with that.
Yeah.
You don't?
It's a very well made film, but you sacrifice some of the cheese factor that me, a diehard Bond fan, loves.
Sure.
Like, I love that they're not good. Like,
right.
There's a like.
Yeah.
Casino Royale was amazing because it came off of Die Another Day. And Martin Campbell, like, Casino Royale is like so freaking good. And it's, of course, them. Anytime they go back to Fleming, it's like, oh, that's what we needed. Which is, I think, why I like The Living Daylights so much, because this movie is way out there. It's way, like, the whole Silicon Valley thing and creating earthquakes and all of that's like, it's all nuts. And it's just like, you get these resets throughout the series. So with You Only Live Twice, where Blofeld's in a volcano and he's capturing rockets by using other rockets, and it's just like, holy cow, this is nuts. They pump the brakes and do On Her Majesty's Secret Service. They go, okay, let's get back to Fleming.
Yeah.
Same with Moonraker. James Bond in outer space with laser guns is nuts. So they pump the brakes and get For Your Eyes Only.
Such a Star Wars reaction, isn't it? Yeah.
So it happens. It happens every. It used to happen like every 5 movies or so, where the Bond like runs its course and it's just like, okay, this is out of hand. We got to that with Die Another Day, and then like Casino Royale came out. So, so with this, it's like, this is as far as like Roger Moore will go. Well, I guess Roger Moore got his reboot with For Your Eyes Only, but the thing ultimately, like, none of them are good. None of them are good movies. None of them are like film. Like, no, like they're barely art. Like, I feel like with Daniel Craig, they try to start making them like real, like, good movies. As artistically as like Quantum of Solace looks, and the way Mark Forster directed it, and I really like that movie because it's short and it's fun and it's full of action, and it's not like a crazy, intricate like spy plot. And I enjoy that because, you're gonna. I feel like, I don't know. You're watching these in order, so watching it right after Casino Royale is really good.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
because I know people complained Casino Royale wasn't very action heavy. But Quantum of Solace is like all action, so it almost feels like the fourth act. So it's like if you watch them together, it's like, okay, here we go. Here's the big action set piece. It's like an hour and 50-minute movie or something.
Okay, yeah, because the only thing I remember from Quantum of Solace is the action set pieces. In fact, doesn't it start with it starts with a chase. So, yeah. And it's amazing. Isn't he hanging upside down and then he sort of flips around and shoots right down the camera?
That's immediately following the opening titles. Yeah. And then there's that foot chase where they're at Italy and it's like during a horse race and stuff. But, yeah.
But I mean, favorite Roger Moore. Okay, so I think
it's probably joint with For Your Eyes Only, I'd say.
So that's mine. For Your Eyes Only has to be my favorite Moore. And what about yours, Ralph?
Mine's The Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh,
it's a very different flavor. Like, so here's the thing. Like, I'm not super. Like, I've read some of the Ian Fleming books. I've been halfway through From Russia with Love for about 6 years now.
It's so not easy to get to. Okay,
really?
So boring.
Oh, no.
Like you get 5 chapters in before Bond even shows up. There's like 2 chapters all about like Red Grant, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's go. I'll finish it eventually, but I'm not like super like. I'm a fan of the movies way longer than the books, so I'm not like it's Fleming or nothing. Like, no. It's what mood am I in? For me, if you could get like a Fleming story and inject some Eon fun into that, that's what I like.
Right, that's your mix.
So like For Eyes Only is good. Casino Royale is good, but it's like just Fleming. Like, and Daniel Craig was so serious. I liked Living Daylights because they took a Fleming short story, and that's about the first like 15 minutes of the movie, and then the screenwriters Michael Wilson and Richard Maibaum went and like expanded on that storyline.
Richard Maibaum's still writing the fucking films?
I believe he's still. I think Living Daylights might be his last one.
Okay,
but dude, but the thing is, again, why change the formula? Like Purvis and Wade have been doing James Bond movies since I think like Tomorrow Never Dies or The World Is Not Enough or something. They're still doing.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I mean, they get their writers,
and they stick with them.
Here's the thing, like Bond movies are always successful, so it's like no matter how bad they are, they tend to keep the same people.
Yeah.
Because they understand. That's my biggest concern with the Amazon takeover is like, can we please get David Arnold? Can we keep like Neil Lamont and Daniel Kleinman and like all the like core group of people, like your Chris Corbalds and stuff, like all the special effects and the editors, like if we can just keep those guys that know like how it's supposed to feel, then I'll be happy. I hope it's not like clean slate. But
yeah, I'm confident that they know they've already got kind of a winning formula on their hands, so then I don't think they're going to spice things up too much. Yeah,
because Peter Hunt,
have no idea.
Peter Hunt was the editor of all the Bond movies, and then directed on Her Majesty's Secret Service,
my favorite.
And then after he was done editing, I want to say it was John Glenn that took over the editing role and then started doing editing in like second unit and then became director. And it's like they just kept
in-house.
They kept the same guys.
Yeah.
So you would just constantly be moving up. Like Vic Armstrong like was a stunt guy on Her Majesty's Secret Service. He does that thing where Lazenby's about to like slide over the cliff off of the skis. Then Vic Armstrong became second unit director and stunt coordinator and all this stuff, and then he went on to do like doubling Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones because he looks just like him. If you give it a shot, look up Vic Armstrong Indiana Jones, and you'll see a side by side of him with Harrison Ford in the indie getup, and they just look identical.
Oh, that's amazing!
So cool.
God, what a compliment!
But so that's the thing. Like John Glenn is probably, I don't know, probably not the greatest director ever. I mean, that's probably
Yeah,
true. I'm assuming
probably.
it's true.
Yeah.
But he did what? 6 of these? He did For Eyes Only,
Yeah.
Octopussy, A View to a Kill, and then the 2 Daltons. So he did 5,
5.
and
Okay.
all in the 80s, from 1980 to or 1981 to 1989. And it's one of those things like they're not the greatest Bond movies, but they were making money, and he probably knew the shorthand with Cubby, and Barbara was coming into the mix, and Michael G. Wilson was coming into the mix. So it's probably like, hey, if we can fire one of these off every 2 years and start making money, like really just making money off of these things, like why not stick with this dude who was your second unit director and editor?
It's
like
true.
He could probably shoot really fast, but make it look like a decent movie.
Yeah, it's true. I'm shocked by how we go from For Your Eyes Only, which was kind of like you mentioned it, Luke, as well, the most serious of the Moore films, and then immediately followed by Octopussy, which is so damn silly.
Yeah.
How do we tonally, like, Glenn can just flip flop like that? That's
why he's my favorite director, I think.
Really,
because he could do Bond either way. And you'll see in the next one, the Living Daylights. I don't know how familiar you are with it.
I can't remember it.
I like the cinematography a lot more. I have a ton more to say about it, and I like the like everything about it. It almost has like the look and feel of For Your Eyes Only, but it has just a little more goofiness than For Your Eyes Only.
Ooh, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to this now. And actually, Ralph, you've really made me look forward to The Living Daylights.
You have picked it up, yeah.
Which is
well, the problem is, I think again, like I think Timothy Dalton's great. I think in a post Daniel Craig world that he would be appreciated more now than he was back then.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Well, he does play a more Ian Fleming character.
Why did he? Do you know why he only did a 2-movie arc? I mean, maybe we can get to that, but one day. But
yeah, he did the 2 movies. They were working on a third, and then things kind of stalled out. I don't know if it had to do with Kevin McClory again and his lawsuit, but there was just something. There was just something going on with delays, and then by the time they're ready to get up production again, Dalton was like already done.
Okay.
But there was a third one. There was a third one where it was set in China, I believe, and it was Dalton in China, and it was like really, like it sounded like really gritty, and I was like, I kind of wish that existed, because then it was it had been like 6 years, and then it's like, okay, well, they got Martin Campbell and Pierce Brosnan, and Cubby was pretty much on the way out, so this was like Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson really spearheading it. And I think what they wanted to do was to kind of reestablish the character and bring him back in. And people had wanted Brosnan since this one. Brosnan was supposed to be in this movie.
A View to a Kill?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow.
I believe he was supposed to be in A View to a Kill. I'm pretty sure.
Wow,
I think
they wanted him early.
They couldn't get him. I also think he was going to try to be in Living Daylights. I don't know which one, but there was a whole deal with like his role on Remington Steele, and NBC wouldn't allow him to be in a Bond movie. Like that's a thing, but I don't remember if it was for this or for Living Daylights. But I know Roger Moore after, I want to say For Your Eyes Only, he was like, I'm done. He's like, I'm done. And they wanted to, so they had him on like a 1-picture deal, and they brought him back for Octopussy because they're like, hey, listen, we need you. You're our guy. We can't do a new guy because Connery's doing Never Say Never Again. So he's like, all right, I'll do one more, because they wanted to make sure they had an established Bond to go up against Connery. And then the View to a Kill, I don't know how that happened, but it was like
probably a hefty paycheck, I imagine.
Yeah,
probably. But I don't know the circumstances for them to give him that paycheck, other than just the role hadn't been cast. And he's He's looking up
He's
there.
so
He's
old,
really
man.
looking up there.
It's the oldest we've had as a Bond,
crazy.
right? 58 years old, I think he was. It's the oldest Bond, because I think Connery was 53 in Never Say Never Again.
Daniel Craig, I'm curious to see how old Daniel
Yeah,
Craig
how old
is.
was Craig? Come the last one, yeah.
In No Time to Die, he's 51.
51, okay. So,
Yeah.
he's older than I thought he was, to be fair.
Yeah. But he started when he was like 36 or something.
Wow.
His
Yeah.
run
Good run.
was too long.
Not
a lot of movies though. You know, when he did less movies than Connery.
Yeah, he did 5.
And Connery
right?
did 6.
6 movies? What, including Never Say Never?
Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, and Diamonds Are Forever. So he did 6 Eon movies in 9 years.
Wow.
From 1962 to 1971. So, I mean, he was being worked. Daniel Craig did like 4 movies in almost like 15I years.
And Moore did the most, didn't he? He did 7
Yeah, he did
official.
7.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say sorry if you hear this. That's my stomach is going next level crazy right now. Maybe it's because I haven't had dinner. I don't know. If you can catch it. But all right, so let's start going through these credits, and we can start with composer. So before we talk about composer, though, what do you guys think of the theme song by Duran Duran?
I really like it.
You do? Okay.
I really like it. I don't, even though I really like the song, I actually am not that big a fan of like the orchestral version that plays throughout the movie.
What?
Mainly because I don't think like the melody really translates that well into an orchestral version.
Fascinating. Okay.
Maybe that's a hot take, but yeah,
it is.
I much preferred the theme tune as to how they used it in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Ralph, what's your thoughts on that?
It's tough. It's a fan favorite. Like people put it in their top 3s easily.
Wow.
For me, not so much.
Okay.
Because I like the traditional Bond songs. It doesn't sound like a traditional Bond song,
right?
Like it's great as a song. Live and Let Die, great as a song. I don't think it's a good. It's the Skyfall thing for me.
I agree.
Like it's a great song, but there's something not Bond enough about it.
Really?
And I know that
about
Duran
Skyfall.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's interesting. I thought Skyfall's very Bond.
Oh,
yeah.
I meant Skyfall as the planet loves it because it's a good movie.
I see.
Like that whole thing.
Yeah,
Skyfall.
yeah.
I love the Skyfall song, but just as far as like, it's globally thought of as like one of the best, and for me, it's like it's a great song, but as a Bond fan goes, it doesn't sound like a Bond fan for me. And Duran Duran famously did not get along with John Barry, and the version that you hear in the movie with all the John Barry like brass hits and stuff,
yeah,
they don't like that version. There's a different radio version that you'll usually hear without those brass hits. And I'm a sucker for any Bond score that incorporates the theme song. So for me, I like it used in the action stuff, but when he tries to turn it into a love theme, it's a little off.
That's what I mean, because like it's not very melodic, the tune. It's not at all. So I totally agree with that. It doesn't translate too well.
They try to take the bridge and turn that into the Stacey Sutton love theme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Come tomorrow and that's Living Daylights. Shit, that's going to happen again in the next.
Well, I have to hard disagree on that, because I think, I mean, we're talking about John Barry though, and when we talk about John Barry, we preface that as talking about the great John Barry. You know, there is no film he can touch that he cannot add a sparkle of genius to. And I actually
even
think
Howard
that,
the Duck.
Oh my God, no way. I haven't seen Howard the Duck. He scored that?
Oh, it's bad. Yeah, he scored it. It's a great score.
Is it really? Of course. Of course it is.
And there's a movie called Star Crash, which he did. That stars David Hasselhoff and Caroline Munro, who's a helicopter pilot in The Spy Who Loved Me. It's a Star Wars knockoff. Great music. Awful movie.
It doesn't surprise me. But I'll say I watched this last night with my girlfriend, and when the theme song was playing, she was like, "Oh yes!" and she starts singing the thing, and I'm looking at her like, I was like, "I've never heard this." She went, "Wait, what?" She went, "This is a banger." I said, "I've never heard the thing." When the chorus came, "Dance into the fire," I was like, "Oh yeah, I know it." Okay. But exactly to what you say, Ralph, it doesn't feel like Bond, but it definitely sounds like an 80s banger, you know? Yeah. But John Barry's love theme, the way he turns that into with the flute, I think it's wonderful. It's actually my favorite theme in the film. And I think this is one of the lower tier Barry scores, you know? Yeah. But yeah, I really like that theme. I really do.
There's a musical moment in the film that I just found really funny, and it's the opening sequence, which I think in general is a really good opening sequence. I think I really enjoyed it with really good stunts and everything. But when he jumps on that improvised snowboard, and then they start playing Hawaiian surf music. Oh my god, that's how you ruin a great moment.
That's tell me about it. Yeah,
couple things. First, why is it not Surfing USA? Why California Girls? Why is it a cover and not like either the Beach Boys or the what's his name from Van Halen, David Lee Roth? Like, why is it not those versions? Why is it in there? Why is the score, it overlaps like a fade with the score in and out of that thing? It's my second least favorite musical decision in the entire series.
Now I need to know what number one is.
The slide whistle in the Golden Gun, where it goes whoop,
ruin an amazing stunt. Yeah.
Same here. Like, basically, James Bond invents snowboarding.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb and so jarring. But isn't it so Glenn? Isn't that so Glenn?
Yeah. It's really funny, the stuff he does. There's a sequence in The Living Daylights that got cut where James Bond is in I don't know, some Middle Eastern country. I don't know. He goes to so many places. But there's like telephone wires and TV wires and stuff on the rooftops, and he grabs a carpet off a clothesline, throws it over, and then slides down the wires on this carpet, and it looks like a magic carpet. And I'm like, that's so stupid. I'm glad they took it out because it doesn't fit the tone of the movie. But it is so John Barry or John Glenn. And it's like, sometimes he needs to be restrained. This week, it might have been yesterday, it was like the 20th or the 20th, like probably like the 40th anniversary of Octopussy or something. They were celebrating Octopussy on Instagram, 007. And they put a shot of Kamal Khan and Roger Moore on top of a plane, like on a studio set, like they're doing rear projection or green screen. And hanging from a wire was like a stuffed goose. Like, there must have been a gag in Octopussy while they were flying on having the fight on top of the plane to end. There's like a stuffed goose that got like flown by. And like, so John Glenn, he sometimes needs to be reined in.
Yeah.
But for some reason, nobody stepped in. He had to have put in that Beach Boys song after the fact, because it does not. The score literally fades out. The song happens, and then the score fades back in, like in the middle of a. It's really weird.
Such a shame.
And so undermining to the composer. Like, the composer's doing his thing here. Yeah. Also, it didn't need to be filmed.
Like, for the next, 20 years, snowboarding's the coolest thing. This is a cool moment where James Bond, this old man, is actually doing something cool that the kids would like. Because, snowboarding at the time, the Broccoli's and stuff, they tend to go find things weird in the world that they're like, oh, what if Bond did this? And so snowboarding wasn't really known in 1985. And so they're like, well, let's do this thing. How do we do that? Well, we'll take the front off a snowmobile and he'll and so like the Parahawks in The World Is Not Enough, those little like sleds with the fans on the back, but they have parachutes, like stuff like that, where it's like they found these things. The mini jet in the opening of Octopussy, the little one-seater red, white, and blue jet, like they found the guy that made that, hired the guy, and they're like, that's James Bond's next gadget. So they go out and find these things.
Okay, that's cool though. Yeah, I like that.
And so like here you have James Bond like doing like this cool thing that nobody has seen before on film, and then you put this bad cover of a Beach Boys song, and it's like, that doesn't say British agent to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't say cool to me.
And I have to say, when it started, me and my girlfriend looked at each other, we're like, another snowy mountain? I mean, dude, how many times is the Bond franchise going to go back to snowy mountains and skiing down it in being chased?
There's 25 movies. There's only so many places you can do it.
Yeah.
I want to say, I think you're pretty good until, oh no, you'll get one in the next one. But it's a little bit different. What they do in the next one is a little bit different. And then you won't get one until like The World Is Not Enough. Great sequence. Snow sequence, and then I think that's Die Another Day has.
I think I remember Die Another Days. One. Yeah, the
tidal
awful
wave.
CGI. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
And then Daniel Craig, I think, was on skis maybe once. I mean, you got to do it.
It's like tip of the hat, I guess.
It's cool. I get what they do.
Car chase every other one. You know.
Yeah.
You try to do car chases every other one, but there's.
Well, so then, with Barry's score, so do we all agree that we agree that it's not our... We're approaching the end here, right? I mean, Living Daylights is his last one, I think, which I'm really fearful for. I don't want to actually watch another Bond movie now without hearing Barry behind it. That's scary to me. Yeah.
Monty Norman, whatever, dude. But he brought in that 60s sound. He kind of brought in the 70s sound. He kind of picked the wrong more movies to do. I wish he had done, I would love to see his Live and Let Die. I'd love to see his Spy Who Loved Me, and his For Your Eyes Only. Right. Those are the ones he didn't do, but he ended up doing like Man with a Golden Gun, Moonraker, Octopussy, and this. These
Not
aren't
great.
Yeah. I wish he would have swapped, because I would have loved to hear those. But he definitely picked up the 80s sound with Octopussy, but especially this. So with the electric guitar, I'm really, my wife does not like it. The wailing electric guitar during the score. I'm fine with it. I think it fits with the time better than Marvin Hamlish's disco stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Bond is orchestra with rock in it. With like there's a little bit of a rock edge, not disco. That doesn't, or whatever.
Yeah, agreed,
whatever Bill Conti was doing. It doesn't. The next one, 1987, will have. I'm letting you know, we're dealing with synths. So it's John Barry, but with synths. I really like the score, so don't worry about that. But it's the following two scores. License to Kill is Michael Kamen, which Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, all that stuff, like
decent,
great.
Yeah.
But that's going to come off as a generic 80s score.
What a shame.
Then 1995 is the following movie, which is GoldenEye.
Was that Eric Serra?
Eric Serra. Yikes.
Oh.
It's a big yikes. So again, what's great is they tested Eric Serra. In the commentary, Michael Wilson says, when Eric Serra's credit comes up, well, that was an experiment that didn't work. he's like,
you are joking.
So
I don't know if
rude.
those are the exact words, but it's very, very like, oops. So when you see GoldenEye, I think the thing that with GoldenEye that just the movie could be so much better is if they got David Arnold just one movie sooner.
From
because
there,
you get David Arnold in as soon as you see the opening gun barrel of Tomorrow Never Dies, you're like, oh my God, I feel like it's like comfort food.
Oh, really?
When you see the gun barrel go across and David Arnold does his version, and it's like, oh, this feels right.
Nice. Okay.
So I'm totally happy with anything that Barry does.
Yeah.
He still tops in my books, followed by David Arnold.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, you talk about the electric guitar. At the end sequence of this movie, isn't he just wailing on the thing in that final set piece? It sounds so cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really out there.
Yeah.
I think the score is good. The only thing I really had an issue with is when they try and translate the main theme. They try and like incorporate, force that in to the film. And this is the only A View to the Kill is the only instance where that's been a problem, just because of the nature of Duran Duran's song. Like
really?
I think
that's so interesting.
I think of For Your Eyes Only, and
so
when they
good.
incorporate that main theme as an orchestral version in the film, it works so well because it's just so pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's very melodic. But this film doesn't have it.
Royal Philharmonic Orchestra released an album called Bond 25, celebrating the 25 years or 25th anniversary or whatever since. Why is it called Bond 25 actually?
25 movies.
25 movies. That's it. And and they do an orchestral version of each theme song.
Oh.
And yeah, check it out. It's on Spotify or whatever you use there, Ralph. And it's so good. I'm going to send it to you, Luke, just to re-listen to it. You'll probably be like,
maybe
Chris, I've told you what I thought. Yeah. But yeah, and I'll say this as well, just very briefly. So Ralph, what was it yesterday? 2 days ago? I went to 2 days ago. They did Dances with Wolves in concert as like an anniversary of the movie's release. And hearing Barry's score to that movie, I mean, first of all, complete reappraisal of the movie itself. It's a fucking great movie. I never knew that. I was always just like...
I've never seen it.
Oh, dude. Okay,
I've listened to the score like a ton. Like I know the score backwards and forwards.
Yes. Oh, man, if you watch it on a good sound system, yeah. And now with an appreciation of the score, but hearing it live with an orchestra, I mean, it's truly one of the great film scores. It's one of the greats, yeah. And so, yeah, anyway, I love Barry.
I don't think I've ever heard any Barry music played in concert.
And that's the problem. Exactly. So it was so like, oh my God, I'm hearing a Barry film in concert. Myself and Luke, a few years ago, we went to, what was it? 007 in concert? And the music of 007 or the sound of 007 at the Royal Albert Hall. And David Arnold like curated it. So we got
he was
to
out
hear
there with his guitar.
Yeah, exactly. And Zimmer came out as well.
We got to hear Shirley Bassey do her Diamonds Are Forever and Goldfinger, and it was amazing. So we got to hear Barry here and there, throughout the whole. That was really nice.
Was there? There was another
Zimmer.
Yeah, but there was another like original artist. But I can't remember which one.
Oh, was it Lululemon, the Spy Who Loved Me woman?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's just Lulu.
Oh, Lulu. Who's Lululemon? Why did I say lemon?
Lululemon's like a
Man with the Golden Gun.
Lululemon's like a sportswear brand. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so amazing.
I'm jealous. I mean, I watched that concert on I guess it was Amazon.
Yeah.
And then they did a documentary about the music of Bond, which completely omits For Your Eyes Only. Makes no sense. It's not in that documentary at all. And something's up.
No, and also the concert that you watch, what infuriated me about it on Amazon, they cut out all the instrumental, just the orchestral pieces.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I was like...
What's that piece from the opening of You Only Live Twice?
The time capsule in space.
Yeah. That's one of my favourite bits of music from Bond. Capsule in Space. Yes. That's one of my favourite bits of music from Bond.
Have you heard the David Arnold album?
Which
one?
Have you
heard the David Arnold album, Shaken and Stirred?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is very important, and it probably should be talked about when you talk about Tomorrow Never Dies, but they approached John Barry after Goldeneye. They're like, this did not work. They approached John Barry, and they said, hey, can you come back and do Tomorrow Never Dies for us? He said, I'm really done with Bond, but there's this guy working on a Bond tribute album, and I think he'd be great. And David Arnold put out this album called Shaken and Stirred, which is like remixes of stuff. So there's a couple Propeller Head song on there. One of it's like Goldfinger, and one is On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So it's the On Her Majesty's Secret Service theme done by Propeller Heads, and which I believe they use in the Incredibles trailer. But in the middle of that, they have a breakdown where it's like a dance techno beat version of Capsule in Space. And it's incredible.
Interesting.
But then they have like this, they have like, I'm trying to remember the artist, but it's like Iggy Pop does Nobody Does It Better, and maybe Bjork's on it. I don't know. Check out this album, dude. It's rad. It's David Arnold was making this tribute album.
Sounds very
heard
cool.
about it.
Yeah.
Suggested him for Tomorrow Never Dies, and that's how he got the gig.
Because
of John Barry's recommendation.
Arnold. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because at the time, Arnold had only done like Stargate and Young Americans and maybe Last of the Dogmen. But
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, if Barry recommends someone, you listen to him.
Yeah. Oh, and they did. They did. They got, like, David Arnold probably should have never got that gig. Would have probably, I don't know, but dude, when you get done with GoldenEye and then you pop on Tomorrow Never Dies, you're going to be like immediately. The score is going to hit you like, this feels right.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah,
and there's actually, speaking of Capsule in Space, there are parts of that song that I'm sure I hear a little in one of Giacchino's tracks for The Incredibles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in there. Yeah. So, like, I mean, I know Michael, but I haven't really talked to him about this, but they were trying to get Barry to do The Incredibles.
Oh, shit.
So if you watch the teaser trailer and the regular trailer for Incredibles, it uses On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It flat out uses that music for the trailers. Yeah, it's really cool. And so I was getting all amped up on Incredibles because I'm like, oh, yeah, let's go. But then Barry didn't do it, and they got Giacchino to do it. His first movie score, which is nuts. Again, I don't know how he got that recommendation. It might have been through Spielberg or Medal of Honor. Maybe Brad Bird was a fan of Medal of Honor or something. But he got it and then really leaned into John Barry. You hear Capsule in Space, and you also hear the 007, a variation of like the 007 theme.
Really?
Which is not the James Bond theme, not the Monty Norman, the one but the 007 theme that shows up in it shows up in From Russia with Love, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, Diamonds Are Forever, and Moonraker.
Is it that?
The name of that is the 007 theme. And then the other one is the James Bond theme.
Right.
But it's called the 007 theme, but that one is tucked away in Incredibles. And what I love is on the Incredicoaster, I need to talk to Michael about this stuff. On the Incredicoaster, which is at Disney California Adventure, it's an incredible thing, like roller coaster that Giacchino scored. That attraction. As you're coming back into the station, I swear to God, he took the Incredibles theme and mixed it with Jerry Goldsmith's Flint themes for his Our Man Flint movies.
Oh, I don't know it. You've mentioned these films to us.
Yeah. So I need to talk to him about that because I'm like, dude, that's straight up sounds like Goldsmith's. Well, so he was really like, for Incredibles, was really like digging into like 60s spy stuff, and who better to go to than Barry and Goldsmith and stuff.
Absolutely. It's a great showcase as a possible future Bond composer as well. We know, I mean, you get Giacchino for it.
Right.
Wow.
I don't know if he's seen a lot of Bond movies. I'll have to talk to him.
Dude.
It might be a blind spot for him.
Dude. Well, I mean, if just for Barry alone, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm sure he'd dig it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know he's like familiar and he's a fan of Barry, but I don't know if he really has watched like a lot of Bond movies.
Very interesting. Well, okay, so then moving off of music, I mean, I don't know if it's worth even talking about the producers because we know who they are. It's
crew.
Albert Broccoli, it's Michael G. Wilson. Yeah, I mean, I don't think
Barbara Broccoli's probably an associate producer. I think the first one she really worked on was Octopussy. She coordinated all the stuff at the circus.
Oh, okay.
So that's the first thing. That was like the first time she really produced a major set piece and figured out how to set
assistant director.
What do you mean? What? Who?
Barbara Broccoli, assistant director.
For which film?
For A View to a Kill and Octopussy and Moonraker.
Wow.
So she just must be hanging out with John Glenn as like an assistant or like kind of a in between for Cubby and.
Interesting.
Very interesting. IMDb doesn't have that at all. So that's that's.
Yeah, I'm looking on Letterboxd. Yeah. So I actually hadn't seen this one before, and I thought I did. You know, that seems to be repeating trend where like I kind of recognize it, so I don't know if I've seen it or not. But this one I haven't. But I knew the song. Obviously, is very famous.
Yeah. My wife and I were having a conversation yesterday about Bond titles because she always gets them mixed up because like all of Pierce Brosnan have like either Die or Day or you know they all get mixed up.
While we're talking, I have to do that because I get them mixed up as well. I have another screen open, and every time you mention one of the films, I have to quickly Google it and look at some images.
Which one is it?
To like refresh my memory of what was going on in that one.
Yeah, that's where saying how like Skyfall is probably the best title of Daniel Craig because it's not like Die or whatever. So it's like there's certain titles that stand out, like Dr. No, Goldfinger, Thunderball. Like those really stand out. Like you know which movies those are. The Man with the Golden Gun, obvious. Live and Let Die. You can hear the song and see the imagery of the movie stuff.
But like, for example,
when it comes.
When you mentioned The Spy Who Loved Me, I was like really trying to rack my brains to what actually happened in that one again. Yeah.
Is that Christopher Lee?
No, that's
that was Golden Gun.
Oh,
The Spy Who Loved Me is the dude with the underwater lair, and he's trying to end the world with nuclear missiles. And Jaws is there, and there's the Lotus Esprit submarine and Agent Triple X, Barbara Bach.
That's the introduction of Jaws, right?
Yeah.
One of the best henchmen ever. Yeah.
But that's my favorite. That's my favorite more because it's got everything: a gadget car and a crazy over the top henchman and an insane lair, and then like good action. The opening scene where he jumps off the mountain and he's got the Union Jack parachute.
Yeah.
Like all of it is very like it's got everything I want in a Bond movie.
Is Moonraker the one where Jules finds love?
Yeah.
Oh man, these films, man.
I know, what a cop out on such an amazing foe. Like the guy was non-stop. And what I love about Moonraker is when it starts and Jaws just intercepts Bond on his mission, you could tell this has happened about 7 times already from the last movie.
Yeah.
Cool. So then I guess we can move into cast and speak about a few key names here. Roger Moore, what else can we really say about the guy? I mean, yeah, I don't know if I've ever really... I guess I have enjoyed... He's had charm as Bond. He does
I quite
the
like him in this
thing
film as well. I think this, again, despite, you know, the glaring fact that he's a bit beyond his years maybe in this one. But, you know, compared to... I'm trying to think of it. Maybe I mean Moonraker. Like compared to Moonraker, I think he does deliver a bit more of the charm than he has done.
Oh, so you okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can see that. Yeah,
there's sort of this kind of pattern that happens where you have Connery, who's kind of like a serious Bond, and then Lazenby, who's a little bit on the lighter side. Then Connery comes back serious. Then Roger Moore. Not serious.
Yeah.
Then Timothy Dalton, serious. Then Pierce Brosnan, not serious. Then Daniel Craig, serious. So I'm hoping the pattern stays that our next one's a more lighthearted Bond, and that we can kind of like get some more charming instead of brooding.
Yeah, okay, yes. As a change of pace, yeah.
I think that's another way to keep the series fresh.
Yeah,
But,
it's a good point.
I mean, listen, Roger Moore. I love Roger Moore. He's just like a good guy in person.
Oh yeah,
Like all his work with like UNICEF and stuff. Like he just seems like a nice guy. So both Connery and Roger Moore had domestic abuse issues. Like they had to call the police because, well, in Sean Connery's sort of circumstances, he was physically abusing his wife. In Roger Moore's circumstance, his wife was physically abusing Roger Moore. And
what?
Oh, wow.
So it's one of those things where I'm just like, man, Roger Moore is just like seems like a sweetheart. he just
feel for the guy
like,
now. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just like, it's like one of those guys where it's like, you can tell he loved playing Bond. And I wish he got it sooner. I mean, as much as I love Lazenby, like I think Roger Moore was approached to do On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It would have been great because if he did that, they would have done, Diamonds Are Forever and like maybe continued to like maybe For Eyes Only done. Those would have been his 7. That would have been great. I mean, Dalton was up for On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which would have been crazy. Can you imagine if Dalton made it all the way?
I still can't remember Dalton.
He must have been young then, yeah.
Yeah, he was really too young. But,
you revealing that Connery was an abuser, it tracks from what I've seen in the Bond films.
There's shows, there's like, he was doing an interview on television in the 80s where he mentions that maybe women should deserve.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen that. Yeah. They deserve to get slapped around a bit. Yeah.
So it's like, dude, like, ugh. Whereas Roger Moore, when he did The Man with the Golden Gun, he gets Maud Adams, puts her arm behind her back, and kind of like forcibly throws her on a bed. And he told the producers, he's like, "That don't write that kind of stuff for me. I'm not Sean Connery." Like, so they kind of like pumped the brakes on his sort of
respect to that.
The way he was like handling the women. And it's like, so for me, like Roger Moore just seemed like such a good guy who loved playing Bond. And anytime that 007 Instagram account posts behind the scenes pictures of Roger Moore, which they did this week, like the dude looks like he's just like so happy. There was a picture of him in Octopussy wearing the clown makeup, holding his bowler, surrounded by other clowns. And he's just like having the best time. And so I can't like fault the guy. Like I'm just
that's
when
fair,
you see him on screen, even though he's old, you're like, he knows he's old. He said For Eyes Only, he's like, I'm getting a little long in the tooth, and you're pairing me with this like 16-year-old ice skater. And he brings it up in the movie where he's like, you're too young. It's one of those things where he was really aware of this stuff. And so I think like he kind of begrudgingly said yes to A View to a Kill, and it was because of his age. But I mean, he went in there and he was James Bond, and he's wearing that velour tracksuit, and he's jumping up on that drawbridge, and like it's like, and then they stick him with Patrick McNee, who's like even older, maybe to make Roger Moore look young. I don't know. Yeah, but dude I just love Roger Moore. Like I can't watch a Roger Moore movie and just like not smile. He just exudes joy, and he's so different than any other Bond.
In A View to a Kill as well, I feel like, at least less so compared to previous films, there's a lot less moments where you kind of want to watch between your fingers because maybe it's a bit predatory and a bit like hasn't aged that well. I think this film's much lighter on those aspects, which makes it.
I mean, he's still bedding women 20 years younger than him, and it's 4 of them as well. Well done, sir. 4.
Does it?
That's the count in this film, yeah.
What? Okay.
Yeah. There's the girl, the woman in the iceberg.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Grace Jones.
Mayday, yeah. Stacey Sutton.
Yeah.
Yes, and then the very last one, of course, we were going to end. Is that her?
That is Stacey Sutton, though.
Who?
Yeah.
So hang on a minute. So Grace Jones, Stacey Sutton, who's Tanya Roberts, yes.
Yeah.
Jenny Flex.
No, he didn't
sleep with Jenny Flex.
Does he not?
Sleeps with Jenny Flex. No.
Okay then. So all right, 3. All right.
But what's funny is the one in the iceberg at the beginning. It just kind of felt right. Like it didn't feel like out of the realm of possibility. Like Hugh made this like submarine disguised as an iceberg. But put like a bachelor pad inside with like the floor raises into a bed, and there's like a champagne chilling in there and stuff, which is a funny gag because they're in an iceberg. But I love that the hatch comes up and it's a Union Jack, like
Union Jack on it. Yeah,
it's like but it's kind of. But you look at that thing and it looks like a functioning thing, and I'm like, oh, it's fun. Like they went and like this dumb gag. They went and had them build it.
Yeah,
and it's kind of fun. Like I don't know, there's just something about it. Like that only works in a Roger Moore movie.
Yes,
it doesn't.
Right.
There's no other Bond. It might work in a Pierce Brosnan if it was done the right way, but there's something about Roger Moore where it's like he's so Roger Moore-y that you can get away with stuff like that.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's so in his lane. Yeah,
and even with Stacey Sutton's character as well, like. To me, that felt like a perfectly reasonable, natural relationship that they kind of build. So for me, it's not like outrageous that he then goes and sleeps with her, unlike it has been with other Bond girls throughout the series.
Well, I'll tell you this: so he is as promiscuous as Roger Moore's Bond was. By the time 1987 rolls around, there's the AIDS crisis. So you're going to find a very different Bond in the next movie.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They try to make sure that he was monogamous.
I think it's far too late for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but
it's funny you say that. That Roger Moore was really embraced being Bond, and that makes a lot of sense of how he would essentially still play Bond in the Cannonball Run, and just completely be like. Even when he walks on screen, it's like ding, 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 ding. As just a few notes off, so that it's not copywritten. It's like, he really embraced it, and I think I need to dive more into, for lack of a better word, I need to dive into him more because I was listening to Tarantino's podcast where he was like, I can name, he said on it, they were talking about Moonraker. He said, I can name you 5 Roger Moore movies that are my favorites. None of them are Bonds. And I was like, ooh, yeah. I mean, I don't know him outside of that character.
I don't either.
Okay.
Cannonball Run. He was in a movie that Peter Hunt directed called Gold.
Ooh, really? I want to see that.
It's post-Bond. I don't know if it's good.
Okay.
And then he was like in like The Wild Geese, or he was in like a couple war movies.
Yeah.
It seems like they would put him in an ensemble cast, and then he's in Spice World.
He shows up randomly in like JJ's second series, Alias, for like 2 episodes.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Alias.
Yeah. It's up and down. It's got seasons 2 and 3, fucking brilliant.
My suggestion, I don't know how you guys watch the Bond movies. I have them on iTunes. I got a really good deal when it was like 23 movies for like $99, and they had all been upgraded to 4K, and they all have all the DVD extras that have ever existed. But if you get a chance, watch any of the documentaries about the individual Roger Moore Bond movies. The dude is so charming, self-deprecating, really funny. He calls out kind of some of the dorkier things in the Bond movies, but does it with a smile. Especially when he's talking about doing the alligator jump in Live and Let Die, where they thought it would be a fun gag to give him alligator shoes. And he was talking about, by the time that you got to the second alligator, the third alligator was already looking up at you. Like his
Wow.
Watch as many interviews as you can with him talking about Bond. Dude's, I just love the dude.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to Christopher Walken then. What do you guys think about him as a villain?
I wish he was in a better movie.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Agreed.
I mean,
Agreed.
Yeah, I think he's underused for sure.
And it's so obvious that he's doing so much with very little. You know, you can tell what was given to him on the page. He's making a whole meal out of it. I agree. I really like him. I read a really interesting thing about him recently where I think he made a choice that his character would be led by his hair. So his hair, something like his hair is the true villain of the movie. So even the way he moves, everything is hair motivated, which is fucking insane. I really like him. I feel like towards the end of the film, he just becomes this chuckling, laughing,
he's
monotonous idiot. But
when he's flooding that room, and
Just
all of
shooting
his
like
workers
fish
are
in a
in
barrel.
there,
Yeah,
and he's just shooting him with the Uzi and just like it's
So-
nuts.
that's
that's
savage,
one of the
yeah.
most brutal things I've seen in a Bond movie.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, and I was.
This is
my
the
girlfriend
same
was
movie
like,
where moments later there's a dude in a fishing boat in an empty lake. Like like John Glenn. John Glenn is nuts.
he's nuts, man. Yeah, yeah.
The
The tone is all over the place.
part
It
of
really
the
is.
story, part of the story that I thought was really interesting, but they don't really give you much on, is kind of his whole backstory about how that doctor guy was a Nazi who was testing steroids to make these genius psychopath children. And I
Yeah.
thought that was like a really interesting backstory, but they don't really do much with it. And Christopher Walken's character, he kind of, like you said, Chris, for like most of the film, he comes across as a bit psychotic, but quite calm and composed. And but then he suddenly changes into this like evil,
Something
bloodthirsty
snaps.
maniac. Yeah, something snaps exactly.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I think, Luke, you felt the exact same way as Carrie Ann, as my girlfriend did. She was turning to me while watching it and being like, I'm actually really enjoying this.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I gave her this look. I was like, are we watching the same film here? And at one point, with regards to his backstory, you know, and it comes out in this exposition scene between Bond and that CIA agent in the, you know, the whatever, that fishmongers or whatever. And she was like, this is actually a really interesting story. And I was like, oh, I'm not listening. Like, I just realized I'm not paying attention, you know?
Right.
So, yeah. And she remembers that end scene from her childhood because she said it gave her nightmares as a kid. And I was like,
bridge?
wow. Yeah. I mean, I don't.
Or when
but
he's shooting the...
when he's just massacring everyone.
It's crazy.
It's wild. It's so wild, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed him, and yeah, I thought he was fine with what he did. Tanya Roberts, who plays Stacey Sutton, I thought was awful. I think she's beautiful,
yelling.
yes, but and
I
she
quite liked her.
really.
I agree she's not a great actress, but like I quite liked her character.
I just feel and maybe it's not her fault, but unfortunately, she's written the role of constant damsel in distress. She doesn't even see a blimp arriving behind her to drag her away. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate. She's just written as someone that Bond needs to constantly save, and she has these lines that every Bond girl has in a film. Oh, James. Oh, James. Oh, James. And, you know, there's so many different intonations of the way you can say that.
Yeah.
And it's like, enough with it already.
Come on, Chris. If you had Roger Moore to save your life, you'd react the exact same way.
Oh, Roger. Oh, Roger. What do you guys think of Grace Jones? Because I feel like it's like a wasted henchman. She's striking on camera. Oh, my God. She looks fucking
Love the
amazing.
style. Love the very
Yeah.
80s. Yeah.
But I feel like you could have gone so much further with her character
Right.
as a bad guy. I
Yeah,
don't know.
totally agree with that.
Does she never really gets in a fight with Bond, right?
No, Bond ends up saving her, and she ends up sacrificing herself in this weird arc that was a bit rushed.
How about that scene where Bond shows up in Mayday's bed because he couldn't get back to his room in time, and then she looks back at Zorin, and Zorin's like, "All right, go."
Yeah,
like it's such a weird relationship, those two.
It's so weird. So, like, well, I was going to say when Zorin and what's her character's name, Mayday, when they go to kiss earlier, and she's just like, "Har, har, har, har," and she's like, all the way up to the kiss. Actually, I'm like, what's happening?
I feel like you've seen GoldenEye. You guys remember GoldenEye? Xenia Onatopp, Famke Janssen, her character.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like Grace Jones could have been more like that. Like a more like she needed a gimmick or something. Like Xenia like strangles people with her legs. Like she
fucks people to death, basically. Yeah,
something. Or like Jaws. Like Jaws has the teeth, or Oddjob has the hat.
Yeah.
Yes. There's something she needs a little. There, like. Yeah,
she needs a
just
thing.
Her presence isn't enough. She needs a thing.
Agreed.
Like she should have the silver nails, like Dave Bautista in Spectre. Like she should have like something like.
That's such a good point, dude. Yeah. I totally see that. And I think they cop out with her, where it's like she's so formidable that you can't.
Again.
You just have to align her with Bond in the end, and now they're on a shared. I don't know. It was disappointing. To be honest, I don't know who else to talk about. Patrick McNee as Tibbet, poor guy. Poor guy.
Yeah.
I like him though. Very likable, I think.
These people need to start checking their back seats, man. I mean, are they spies or not?
It's so heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. I love how he's basically a superior to James Bond, but undercover, James Bond is just treating him like shit. Keeps calling him Tibbet, and he's like even in the pre-recorded thing they set in so that the bugs can hear that conversation, it's him just railing on Tibbet. It's so funny.
That's
it's
quite
so
a good
funny
bit.
to me.
Yeah.
And those two were having a blast. Because Patrick McNee was probably playing John Steed at the same time. Roger Moore was playing the Saint. There was probably some sort of fun like feud or something going on. Like there were two spies on TV. The two
I
of the
didn't know
most famous
that.
spies on British TV. So on the Avengers, it was Patrick McNee was John Steed, and then Roger Moore played the Saint, Simon Templar. It had to have been around the same time. But so these two being like in a movie together. And this role, like where they're pretty much just going after each other, it's really fun to watch.
That's great stuff. I didn't know it was so pointed in that way. That's obviously very intentional.
So.
Yeah, okay.
They just came from like that same sort of TV 60s spy background. But listening to them, like listening to Roger Moore, like talk down to him and tells him to like go wash the car, and he's like, already did, and then he dumps the bucket on it. But it's so heartbreaking because he's so likable. Like anytime James Bond has like a really like cool ally that you fall in love with, and you're like, wow, this guy is a real go-getter. Like VJ in Octopussy, like the tennis pro VJ. In this one, you have Patrick McNee, where it's just like, oh, he's so great, and you're like, that's it. They're done for.
They're done for. Yeah, stay away from this guy. Honestly, it doesn't end up well for them. Go on, Luke.
Well, I was going to move on to another character.
Yeah, please.
I'm just trying to find their name.
Dolph Lundgren?
No. So
he pops in for like Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren? I missed him.
Yeah. He's when they're at the racetrack. There's a scene with Christopher Walken, Grace Jones talking to somebody. I forget who, but Dolph Lundgren's in the background. He's standing there. This is like what the same year as Rocky IV, and he was Grace Jones' boyfriend at the time, and he was on set, and so they just put him in the background.
Wow.
Yeah,
they are two really built people. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Specimens, perfect specimens.
But the character I wanted to mention was Pola Ivanova, the Russian spy that he runs into.
Right. In the spa.
in the spa. Because
Oh boy, yeah.
that was a low light of the film for me because I was just so confused. I was thinking, again, because these films all just kind of overlap for me, I thought she might have been like a recurring character who we've already seen in one of the old films.
That's how it
She
plays.
isn't. Yeah, that's exactly how it plays.
Yeah.
But she isn't. She just kind of pops up for like 5 minutes, no real explanation.
I
and
can
then
feel
she's
the
gone.
bubbles in my Tchaikovsky.
Fucking hell.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. But it's so weird because the one she's working for, the KGB agent, he is a recurring character.
Yeah, Golgo. He's the head of KGB. Yeah,
yeah. He's been in a few movies already.
guy who
As
gets
the
shut
same.
down the pipe.
He's been in like all of them from, I want to say, from The Spy Who Loved Me to he's in License to Kill.
Oh my God! Really? Wow. So they kept using him.
Wait.
Okay.
Maybe not License to Kill. I take that back. He's in The Living Daylights. But this might help you with the next one. He plays Golgo. He's like the head of the KGB. He's basically KGB's M. And he has his assistant is Miss Rupovich. It's as opposed to Moneypenny.
Okay.
But so in the next movie, his character retires and is taken over by John Rhys Davies. So that's something that'll prep you for the next movie, because it took me a lot of viewings to realize that John Rhys Davies is the new kind of Golgo
Oh, I see.
head of the KGB.
Right. Okay. Okay then.
But he does appear as Golgo. And so not only is he in all those movies from Russia with Love to Living Daylights as that character Golgo, he plays a henchman in From Russia with Love, the second Bond movie. You have Rosa Klebb, and she plays his henchman when they go to the training center and go get Red Grant. He's in that movie as well.
What, as the character?
He's a different guy.
No,
but who's to say he's not? He didn't grow into the role.
Amazing
person.
Wow, that's amazing. Cool. And I don't know if there's anyone else really to speak about here. I mean, you still have Desmond Llewellyn as Q. It warms my heart every time he shows up.
This is the final appearance of Lois Maxwell as Moneypenny.
Oh, it's when I see their name in the credits, I'm like, yes, and she looks old in this, bless her.
She does, yeah.
Robert Brown is M. Obviously he took over a couple of movies ago, and it's nice. I like when he shows up. Cool. Before we move on to just director and writer, I'm just going to get my charger to charge. I'm so unprepared for this fucking thing. I'm just going to get my plug in my laptop. I'll be back.
I'm just looking at some old photos now of Lois Maxwell from Dr. No.
Damn.
And damn, she was looking old in this one, as rude as that sounds.
Right. And in Octopussy, the one before this, they tried to get a replacement in there. Miss Penelope Smallbone was that character who was only in the one. So they were like kind of prepping to replace Lois Maxwell, but they didn't. So in the next one, you still get Robert Brown as M, and you still get Desmond Llewellyn as Q, but you do have a new Miss Moneypenny.
Who is that?
Not Samantha, Caroline Bliss, who I like quite a lot. She's really cool. She's only in the two. And fun fact, and this will be great for Chris when he goes back to edit this, is she is married to the guy who was the voice of Watto in the Star Wars prequels.
That's so random, but I love that. That's cool.
So now that Chris is back, he's going to have to go back and listen to all of that we just did.
Cool.
Because I think that's useful information. About as useful, yeah.
That's a useful bit of trivia there.
Yeah.
Right.
Chris, we were just saying that you're going to have to go back and listen to While You Were Gone.
There's
a little bit of while you were gone, I just laid down a couple of tidbits about the next person to play Moneypenny.
Oh, you know who it is?
In the Living Daylights, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought
Yeah,
you
yeah.
meant on a recent.
Because this is Lois Maxwell's final performance. So
Ooh, okay. Yeah, maybe we can just keep all that in. I mean, I'm sure it might be fine. All right, lovely. Do you know what? Writers and direct. I mean,
it's still Richard Maibaum, right?
it's Richard Maibaum. I mean,
Michael Wilson.
Basically, Richard Maibaum's written every
Kind
other
of
Bond movie.
We've been over these.
Except
Kind of a
for You
remake.
Only Live Twice. You Only Live Twice was like Roald Dahl, wasn't it? Like on a random.
Right. Yeah, him and Ian Fleming swapped. So Roald Dahl wrote an Ian Fleming script, and Ian Fleming wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
You're joking? I didn't know that.
No, yeah,
Oh,
they were
that's
friends and they did a
amazing.
swap. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that. All right. Yeah. And Michael G. Wilson, who took over from For Your Eyes Only to sort of co-write with Maibaum and will continue to write all the way up to License to Kill. So, yeah. And then you have John Glenn as the director of the film. And yeah.
I love the dude. I love him so much. I'm glad he's still around. I kind of wish, there's something about his movies where they just feel, there's just some kind of a joy in them. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of Roger Moore, but listen, like you get to the next one where it's very serious, but it still has it feels like a Bond movie. Like there's something about the movies that feel like a Bond movie that you lose in like GoldenEye.
And that's the thing is I mean, I personally think he really displayed some cool chops in For Your Eyes Only. And I want to see more of that type of Glenn. What I didn't realize is For Your Eyes Only is his directorial debut. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
A
He was doing
Bond
second
film?
unit. He was doing second unit for the Bond
That's
movies.
right.
So it was like, but I mean, and they gave him all the way up to, License to Kill.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, so
I've
he
seen
does...
any of his other stuff though.
No, so after
I haven't
License to Kill, he does this movie Checkered Flag. It's a TV movie in 1990. What's Ace's Iron Eagle 3?
It seems so odd to me that even after doing this run of successful blockbusters, he hasn't been picked up for anything else major, really.
Big, yeah. I mean, I haven't heard of these films, and by the sound of it, it sounds like a third movie. Ace's Iron Eagle 3, starring Louis Gossett Jr. And then, I don't know what Christopher Columbus The Discovery is. It's a film starring Marlon Brando and Tom Selleck. What? He directs that with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Benicio del Toro as well. What the fuck is this film?
Well, that's funny because he directed Benicio del Toro in License to Kill.
Benicio del Toro's in License to Kill? What?
Oh, I remember that.
It's his second movie.
Yeah.
It's like his second movie after Big Top Pee-wee.
Wow.
Dude,
I love
Benicio.
that.
Benicio is in License to Kill. Dude, he's like a henchman. He's just basically a henchman of Robert Davi's character. Dude, he's so fucking good in that movie. He's so good.
Jesus, when is the guy not good? Honestly, when is he not good?
The Phoenician Scheme.
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't even say he's not even good. It's just he's still Del Toro. We didn't like the Phoenician Scheme, yeah.
Yeah.
I was planning on singing it this weekend.
You might like it, yeah.
I think he's become kind of a cartoon of himself or something like you get especially with Wes Anderson. It's I'm everyone's like, oh, Michael Cera's finally in a Wes Anderson movie. It's like, oh no, that sounds like he's going to play it a way that everyone thinks he should play it. And it's going to be very almost a heightened cartoony version.
Dude, I won't say anything. I'm not going to say anything. Yeah. Maybe you can let us know your thoughts about what you think. It's so divided. But I think
I was lukewarm on Asteroid City.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
I was cold on
yeah.
it. Yeah, I was cold. We're going to drop our review next week, I think. Give it a listen after you've watched, though, just to see if it lines up with your thoughts. But, guys, have you seen this Christopher Columbus, The Discovery film?
Never heard of it.
I've heard of it. There was a few Christopher Columbus movies that are out around the same time.
Really? Yeah, this is, 92. Written by Mario Puzo.
What?
Yeah. So
Okay,
weird.
this one's not the one I know of. Yeah, I don't know this
And
one.
yeah, and then John Glenn, the last film he ever directed was The Point Men from 2001, starring Christopher Lambert. Again, never heard of these
These are really
films.
under the radar things. Like I'm looking on Letterboxd now, and it's got less than 300 people who've watched it.
That's insane for a guy who made 5 Bond movies. That's insane.
And like,
yeah.
but like, listen, again, they may not be the best movies, but they're definitely Bond movies. Like he understands the formula. I think for the most part, he understands the way to handle the different tones. Again, it is crazy that Christopher Walken shoots people in cold blood with an Uzi and laughs during it.
Dude.
Like right after like a blimp chase, or you know, it's like how he's able to do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And-
Maybe it's the
I have-
editor.
I have to say, the final sequence, like, okay, we've got an underground lair, we've got multiple people in hard hats. I mean, this is a typical Bond film. But the actual, like, production design, again, it's lovely.
It's good.
And then the
Peter
final
Lamont.
sequence on the golden... What was that, Ralph?
Peter Lamont, production
Who
designer.
did the production design?
I believe so. Peter Lamont kind of took over for Ken Adam. I think
Yes.
For Your Eyes Only was his first that he did. And then Peter Lamont also did Aliens and Titanic, and he's like won Academy Awards. Like Peter Lamont is so great. And then his son, Neil Lamont, started taking over for him. Like they started working together on Bond movies, and then Neil Lamont just took over. I think Peter Lamont maybe passed away or he retired. He's just not involved with Bond anymore. So that's what I'm saying. Like get Neil Lamont for Bond 26 so that things have the right look. Like these dudes, like dude, Peter Lamont is amazing. Like
I know.
and Neil Lamont's great too.
So I know, Ralph, that you'll jump in and out of this film club as you go on. I really think you need to be with us for every Bond film discussed, because I don't know.
Trust me, I'll be there.
Wow, that's amazing. And like even the final sequence on the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, today you would absolutely see that Cruise, for instance, is up there. But, you know, so it's obviously not more involved in all the stunts. You know, it's quite funny how different the stunt guy looks at times, how noticeable that is. But it's
they got real dudes
cool
out there.
Sequence,
Yeah.
You know that shot where it's just straight on one of the like spirals as they're fighting each other back and forth. That made my stomach go a bit. I mean, I'm not great with heights.
I'm literally going to say the same. I'm not good with heights, and that was an uncomfortable watch.
And
there's a sequence in the next movie which is hands down my favorite James Bond action sequence of all time, and you guys are gonna get queasy.
Ooh, all right.
Speaking of heights,
gauntlet thrown down. Okay, and I mean, and how fucking gangster is it that as he's sliding off the fucking bridge, Christopher Walken, he just laughs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like my nightmare, to not have any grip or purchase on something and just be sliding off.
Yeah.
You know, it's such
And
a high.
that last little bit of psycho
not firing.
coming out. Yeah.
It's just yeah. Well, anyway, all right. So that's basically it. Do you have any final thoughts on A View to a Kill, guys?
Well, I just want to say that I think the reason I liked it so much is because I think this Bond film has a really solid, simple plot and a good story. A lot of these old Bond films, especially the later Connery films, I think they have these like really convoluted plots where they're kind of jumping all over the world really, really quickly, and it becomes a bit confusing, a bit jarring. I like how kind of isolated this film is to its locations. You know, we spend a lot of time in this French chateau, and it's a really interesting location. And I think it's, like I kind of mentioned before with Christopher Walken's backstory, I think it's actually an interesting story. Yes, the whole idea of him, you know, manipulating these tectonic plates to destroy Silicon Valley is a bit far-fetched. Well, it was very far-fetched, but despite that, I think it's a really solid, efficiently written, like, spy story. I think that's why I liked it. And again, like, compared to a lot of these other Bond films, I was able to connect with, you know, the story a lot more.
Nice, man. That's fair. Yeah. Would you say that? Would you put it on the level of For Your Eyes Only, or better?
Well, it's hard to say.
It's so goofy.
Yeah,
it's so much goofier.
Yeah.
And the things I liked about, they're just, I really like them both, but in quite different ways. I think I would probably say For Your Eyes Only is a bit better, though.
Okay.
I think.
Dude, I'm so glad you enjoyed this, because I was like, oh god, what a way to start.
Me too. I'm afraid to ruin it. I'm afraid to ruin it for you. But here's a couple things. Well, it was Roger Ebert who did a review of this, which is basically, this is kind of a remake of Goldfinger, where Goldfinger wants to irradiate the U.S. gold supply to make his gold price increase. This one, and this is Roger Ebert said this, was that he's trying to destroy Silicon Valley to make so he can sell chips, microchips and stuff at a higher rate. But Roger Ebert said, why would you flood Silicon Valley when those are the people who are buying the chips? So there was that, which I hadn't really thought of. But I mean, it's a James Bond movie. I don't think that Michael Wilson, I don't want to say he's not the smartest when it comes to plotting and stuff. But there is a level of, like, I mean, this movie's just kind of silly from top to bottom. So it's one of those things where I forgive it. Like, you know, it's fine. But it's such a funny movie to me. It's so Roger Moore coming back for one more to, like, do this thing that has to do with a guy cheating at horse races secretly using a remote control detonator that releases the steroid into the horse after it's been drug tested. Like, it's such a crazy concept. Like, you think that's crazy, but that's not the real plan. The real plan is this Operation Main Strike, and it's like kind of like Operation Grand Slam in Goldfinger. But it's such a weird movie. It's so weird. And for me, me, like, San Francisco is a 6-hour drive for me, and it's not very exotic. And so seeing him in San Francisco, like at Pier 39 and stuff, I'm like, well, I want to see James Bond going to places that I've never seen.
Exotic,
I'm sure for like Skyfall, when he's, you know, puttering around London and stuff, for you, it's probably like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's opposite for us. We're like, shit, it's the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah. And for me, I'm like, oh, he's on the Thames River or whatever. Like, ooh, exotic. Even though I heard, like, the water there is bad.
It's awful.
And there's a scene in The World Is Not Enough where James Bond's in a little tiny speedboat and he's able to submerge and go under, like, a bridge. But it's an open air cockpit. And so it's like, all that.
Oh, right.
Submerging that water is gross.
Gross, yeah.
Lots of infections.
Listen, it's probably, like, for me, honestly, number 24.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Die Another Day being the only other one. But I'll tell you this. If anyone were to pop it on right now, I'd sit there and watch the whole thing. Because again, like, when you watch these movies, every time you watch it, there's something different you notice. Or it's just like one of those things. It feels like it's like comfort food, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like, yes, that's perfect what you just said there. Yeah. So what would you all give it out of 5? I mean, I'll go first and I'll say I'd give it a 2. purely down to Barry and purely down to some of the action set pieces and maybe more himself. Luke, what about you?
I'm going to give it a 3, which for Bond and me is quite high.
It's up there.
Yeah, it's up there. Well, at least for non-Craig movies, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So for being like the 24th out of 25 movies, like I would give it like 3.5 stars. Just because, like, listen, man, when you watch a Bond movie, like, it has John Barry. I love Roger Moore. And like, that's enough to give it like 3 stars for me. Like those people. And like John Glenn, I just I don't care what anybody's opinion on John Glenn is.
Yeah.
He put out like some crazy stuff. Like he made it interesting. He made it different, you know.
For sure.
None of his movies are very similar. Like, yeah.
That's absolutely fair. Did you say 3.5 there?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
It probably hit 4. I think really Die Another Day is the only one that dips like below 3 stars for me.
Wow.
Because it's just so awful.
I don't remember it. Okay. It was it was a cinema experience. I was young. I loved it, but probably I'll feel very differently now. Cool. Well, all right. So then moving forward, Luke, you have the next pick.
Ooh, cool.
So what will be the next film?
It's a bit of a basic choice, I'm afraid.
That's okay.
I chose it after you sent me the trailer earlier this week for Alien Earth.
Okay.
And it just, all I could watch, despite it looking great, all I could think about while watching it is how much I want to rewatch Alien. So it's
Alien.
Ridley Scott's Alien 1979, I want to say.
Classic. Okay. What are you gonna? You just gonna highlight this, or are you planning on every time it comes around to you going through this thing? Or
No, I'm not going to put us through some of the later sequels. No, it's just going to be standalone Alien.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, I've only ever seen it once, so
Okay.
I'm excited to watch it again.
Awesome.
It's my favorite. I like it more than Aliens. Yeah. It's a good one.
And you know what's crazy? Never seen Aliens. Never seen the sequel. Yeah.
I'll tell you this about Aliens. It might be the greatest sequel of all time. Because, like, Alien is, like, kind of a perfect movie. Like, Alien is like a haunted house in space.
Alien is a perfect movie.
It's like a horror movie. It's exciting. Like, it's like the pacing. Just everything about it is so perfect. But what James Cameron was able to build off of this concept of this little haunted house movie and expand the lore, but expand the lore not in a way where you're like, ugh. He like smartly goes in and is like, well, if this is here, then how did those get there? So let's expand on that. And it's just like everything about it is so perfect. Like it's a perfect sequel. I don't know how to explain it other than it's just perfect.
Ooh, it's exciting. Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
That's all I've ever heard about it.
It heightens everything. It heightens the lore. It heightens the excitement and the scariness and the action and Sigourney Weaver's like.
But you still prefer Alien, right?
I prefer Alien. It's like a pure piece of original cinema. And Aliens, as perfect as it is, if it didn't have the first one, like the first one is such a perfect template. And the cinematography, especially for the time, like that came out like 2 years after Star Wars. And I know Star Wars was, now what are the balloons? The Star Wars was a big influence on Ridley Scott, where like it was like, sci-fi could look lived in.
This is what's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what Cameron does after that is just like, it might be Cameron's best. It might be Cameron's
It's
best.
up there. It's up there for sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, it would take a lot
Aliens
to
is so
knock
good.
Titanic off the... All right,
I
well...
don't like Titanic. I think Titanic's garbage. Yeah, I don't like it.
Oh, I think that could be a whole discussion in itself.
We might have to watch this thing, you know.
Can I just say something? I think the writing blows.
Okay.
I hate the writing.
That's not too controversial.
Yeah, that may be fair. That may be fair.
But I can tell you this, dude. I remember when I saw Titanic, I was like, my first thought was, holy shit, like Billy Zane is a badass. Like Billy Zane was you're on the Titanic, it's sinking, and he's so enraged, he's running around the Titanic sinking with a gun. Like,
yeah.
I thought that was I thought that stuff was awesome. Cameron's funny. Like, I don't like Avatar movies, but I like
Neither do
Abyss. Like The Abyss. I think The Abyss
definitely.
is great.
True Lies.
So original.
I
like
love.
Fully original. True Lies is probably the best 90s Bond movie.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
I'm an unashamed Avatar lover, but we don't have to get into that now.
Yeah,
That's fine. No, I think that's fine.
that's fine. Yeah, and I know you are, Luke. I know you are.
Controversial, but I think Terminator 1 is perfect and Terminator 2 is not as great as people say it is.
So, because of when I grew up, I love 2, but if you say 1 is the one, absolutely, I can. I'm like, yeah, that's
it's
fair.
Such a self-contained, perfect movie that loops itself with it, with the whole John Connor thing. I think, wow, what a perfect story, a self-contained story, and everything else is like, okay, but now here's some more stuff. It's like, but it's not this perfect
Totally
little
get
story.
that. Yeah. Totally get that. And the fact that we're still continuing to tell Terminator stories to this day is like, know when it's over, know when it's done, But all right, that's amazing. Well, so great. So thank you for listening, everybody. If you have listened, I don't know who's going to listen to it, but we're putting it out there. Yes, our episodes are edited by Noah Anderson and our music is by Stefan Krieger. As always, you can find more of his music at stefan-krieger.com. We will see you back here next time for the discussion of Alien. See you then.
See ya.
Until we die.